Jag minns ju den tid du gav mig life ville jag. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunnat ge förut. Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för det baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger av min tid, jag vill ha det. Du får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig.
Peace. What's going on, family? How y'all doing?
What's up?
All is well, man. Things have been going great. It's been going great for us down here, man. But man, everything's good.
Yeah, man. So today is August 17th. We got to first and foremost start off with paying homage to the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who is his birthday was today. He was born August 17th, 1887. And one of the greatest black men ever born on the face of this earth. One of the greatest men ever born on the face of this earth.
Absolutely.
And today, black people, African people, and freedom lovers all around the world are recognizing and paying homage to the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. With that said, y'all been doing some great work in Orangeburg. I ain't gonna talk too much about it, but I do want to highlight y'all and say, man, y'all did a great job with Brother Curry. Shout out to Brother Curry, man. Curry always throwing, lobs at us to see if we can, if we can deliver. But I know my team can deliver anytime, anywhere, any place. So let's talk about what went down with y'all before we bring our special guests out today in terms of your presentations. I posted them on Facebook. Dom, I believe yours was on like the history of cotton. Orangeburg. And Kimo, you was talking about Great Branch, the family connection, how your grandfather was over there doing farming for the university and stuff. Y'all touch on y'all presentations and what was it about? What was the audience? Some of the background.
The audience was some young scholars. They were in a special agribusiness program.
The 1890 program.
1890 program. And so we gave them a presentation on the history of cotton in the Orangeburg area. We talked, Curry gave a whole presentation on cotton. Dom spoke about George Carver.
George Washington Carver visits Orangeburg and particularly to South Carolina State, the history of cotton in South Carolina, but particularly in the Orangeburg area. And I was able to also touch on a little bit on, how our Orangeburg connects to the Low Country. We're gonna do. We done talked to Curry. We got some things planned up, man. Hopefully everything goes through.
Yeah, I told him a little bit about Miss May and Great Branch and the Great Branch community and everything. So it was good, man. I had fun with it. The students were receptive. They were engaged. We did a bang up job, man. That's
big work.
We laid it down,
work, man. Yeah, y'all definitely went prepared.
Well. Anyway, like we were saying, Dr. Curry invited us, me and Don, to come up to the IP Steinbeck Museum.
Yeah, Steinbeck. Yeah, the planetarium. It was a museum. But when I was a kid, when I visited, it was a planetarium, I believe. So,
it was. Actually, this was my first time going in there. One of our former guests, Dr. Frank Martin, I think he at one time he was the director of the Steinbeck Museum. So they do a lot of exhibits up there. They had some very interesting pieces from the Harlem Renaissance period. Like that, and it was good. It was good.
Yeah, man. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, good. I was just saying that, man. I love how Dom segued from the rice dominance in the Low Country, and then he talked about the invention of the cotton gin.
Yeah,
and how it led to a lot of people who was invested in rice to going over into cotton. And to get the lands, they brought the people up from the low country and brought just transferred the people to the, to a different area.
That's
very,
right.
very important. Very important, because we're always talking about the interaction between the low country cultures and the cultures in the burg in particular. It's ongoing. Even right now today, people in Charleston and people in Orangeburg intermarry, all that right now today. So it's the same thing. So we have a very special guest today.
Yeah,
and shout out to brother Rakeem as well, who said peace to the family as well. We did an awesome interview with Wise and Dome TV that'll be coming out, I believe, September 1st, right, y'all?
Yeah.
Y'all be on the lookout for that. That's going to be a classic, and we're going to do a part 2 as well.
Gotta see.
Yeah, man. So, Dominique, you recommended Brother Vance. You said, man, we got to close it out with Brother Vance, right? Because the next 4 to 6 weeks, y'all ain't going to see us. But Brother Vance is going to be our last for this season. Why'd you choose Brother Vance? And can you bring the brother out?
Man, these last 4 or 5 months, starting from late April, early May, man, I've been chopping up with this dude, man. And he reminds me of myself, but also he's his own unique warrior scholar and personality, man. Like, he has, when it comes to culture, but particularly language and the Afro-diasporic language, man, he has an affinity and passion for it like I've never seen before, man. Like, he is a great researcher, great scholar. He knows how to create these interesting and captivating presentations. And I said, bro, I got to bring you on, man. Once I get the permission between co-host, bro, I gotta get you on, man, so you can be highlighted and more people can know you.
Yeah, man. I did go behind. I did check. He's a Facebook friend of mine, but I hadn't really been aware of his work till you highlighted it. And I went back. I checked some of his posts and said, yeah, this is definitely our kind of brother. We digging up the facts and the artifacts and putting the language back together, man. This brother is doing something great. I'm gonna let him come out and tell us more about himself, his background, how he got involved, and all of that. But welcome, Brother Vance, to the Gullah House Show. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you, family. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Dominique. I'm very pleased and happy to be here. And it's truly a good day. It's truly a good day indeed. Can't be thankful enough. But about me, my name is Vance Armand Ragland. I usually tell people call me Armand or Vance, doesn't matter. I was born in Virginia. I was born in Louisa County, Virginia, in a little town called Cobham, Virginia. And I was brought up north into Pennsylvania to stay with my mom and my grandparents for a good amount of time, but I still got a bit of Southern culture here and there from visiting. And I would say what really started, what got me into this, was when I was a young boy, and many people can probably relate. I hope not as much as there may be, but when you're a kid in school, in public school especially, when you're taught about the good of diversity and the history and cultures that's romanticized on TV and the books, you're introduced to who you are with chains. But the white kids are introduced through castles in Europe. The Asian kids are introduced through martial arts and philosophy. And every other group gets a beautiful introduction. But when it comes to African Americans and those of the Afro-diaspora and those within Africa, we get backward barbarism and plenty of things that's not really good for the psyche of a child to grow up to understand about themselves. That lowers their self-esteem. It lowers so much things about them. And in the same breath, these teachers that's supposed to be educating you and helping you grow, they ask you to do a cultural month or a cultural day. And when all the children are glee and happy, oh, I can't wait to show this and that about my culture and history, you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs like, my own very name is an enslaved name. My very own position in this country where I live is because of a great migration from being used as cattle and thrown anywhere for work. And when most Black kids go to the front of the classroom, they do 3 things. They bring a Bible, soul food, and they talk about maybe church or something. Like they'll bring maybe kente cloth to help them feel better. But it feels really like a minstrel, because this is a appropriated part of who we are, because we as young children aren't taught a way of our culture to educate and to boost ourselves up, because it feels like a minstrel, because like a talent show, you're competing with all these other kids and they're bringing such as things like philosophy, culture, instruments, cuisine that's seen as sophisticated, seen as all these things. But when you bring up soul food, it's seen as just that slavery food. When you bring up the Bible, it's, oh, going to Black church. It's loud, it's fun, and you've seen it on TV. But you're not educated enough from the people who ask you to present your culture about that specific thing of your culture. Oh, my people wrote this Bible in an Arabic-derived script in the Negro patois called Gullah. My people, when we do ring shouts, it is a combination of African hoodoo, paganism, Catholic Christianity, along with other things, and Islamic Sufism that creolized into the Black church, such as how we play our music, from how we do ring shouts and all kinds of things. And I feel like it's a big embarrassment to a lot of us, because when we go to our parents, there's something my mom said that really put a switch in me. When I asked her, where are we from? What is our languages? What is our culture and our legacy? Because I got to compete with these other kids, and she just looks at me and says, we're just regular Black. And I didn't like that. So from that moment on to growing up, I learned everything from a Black perspective, from science, history, culture, everything. And what I came across a year ago, besides, of course, Dominique on Facebook, and we just started chatting about these experiences and this shared desire to get our people in this cultural renaissance of a revolution to not just be Black, not just be regular Black, that there's so many things our ancestors has done that we neglect, forgotten, or even ourselves discriminated against to be in the line of a proper society. And I said, well, that's got to change, because I ain't regular nothing, and neither are we.
What's up?
Yeah, man. That's a very powerful story. I think we all have those occurrences that drove us along and got us on these paths. And you have a very real story in terms of how the educational system neglects us and our history. And either we accept it or we resist. And in that resistance, like you said, we see a new renaissance happening. We see that people are beginning to remember, they're beginning to reclaim, they're beginning to return. That there's these things are happening, whether it's physical, whether it's cultural, even in people's spiritual practice. People are spinning the block, so to speak, right? Historically, we got to go back and get some of what granddaddy had, great grandmama had, right? We need some of that right now. And that's such a powerful moment to be in. So you're from a small place in Virginia. You moved to PA. I'm from PA. I'm born and raised in PA, so I know what that's like. Especially if you out there in Hickville, you out there near them Amish, you out there in the middle of nowhere. So I know what Pennsylvania can be like, almost country. But at the same time, I want to ask you, from what I've seen and what really piqued my interest was your interest in linguistics. One thing that brings us together is our Gullah identity. And Gullah studies started with the studies of the language by Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner, who was the first African-American linguist, right? And it also started in Orangeburg, where our ancestry is from, right? And so we're very proud about that fact. We consider Orangeburg to be the birthplace of Gullah studies because of the fact that the first African-American linguist first heard the language in our our ancestral hometown, right? You bring about a different dynamic. You're showing us regional European dialects that were, or European-based dialects that were spoken by different areas or different communities of enslaved Africans and even free Africans, right?
Yes, sir.
What's the basis of it? Because I seen you've emphasized the Dutch, and most people don't talk about the Dutch relationship, even though we know that New York was once New Amsterdam. What's the connection, brother? Break it down for us.
Firstly, I want to say I did not know too much about that with Orangeburg, and that's beautiful to know that it's this mecca of the linguistics of the Gullah Geechee language. And I picked up this book, and this book really inspired me, not just Africanisms in the Gullah dialect from Lorenzo Dow Turner. It was also seen in the African American Museum that I saw for my birthday on August 7th, and it was a great time. And this book really showed me what it means to go against the odds of those who see your piece of your culture as barbaric or broken, and to be able to scrap not just what the oral sources, but the written sources, and come with extravagant findings of a connection of a people thrown away millions of miles somewhere else in those from Africa, such as a slave song that helped a family retrace in a specific village in Sierra Leone that was sung in the Gullah Negro patois. And that blew my mind. And I knew I got to be just like this man.
Hey, let me tell you something too, right? I've met that woman. She's been in this same home that I'm talking to you on. The woman on this side who remembered the song. Her name is Jabati, Mama Jabati. She's been here in my home several times, and that story right there is an amazing story. I also met the grandson of the woman who was actually recorded by Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner. I met him here in Freetown on one of his visits here, and those two families are like one family right now. The brother name is Wilson Moran, and the Jabati family, even the whole clan, I would say, the whole village is like one big family now. People don't know it because they keep it private. But the song that was remembered in America by the Moran family was actually a funeral song that was inside the Women's Society here among the Mende. And it was only popular in a certain region. And they went all the way down and found someone who had received the song from their parent and was still singing it. And the song is saying, there's still time. The grave is not yet closed. Because back then, only the men buried the bodies. The women would cook and prepare food while the men go bury the body. And they would sing this song while they prepare the food. It's not too late. The body is not yet buried. Like hurry up and cook kind of thing, right? And so it carried over to America, to Georgia, and was still being sang, and the people in Georgia didn't know what they were singing. It was just an African little song they thought they was just passing on. They did not know what it was. And so the work of Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner recorded that song back in the 1930s. And then later on, researchers took that song and traveled all across Sierra Leone till they found the match. And them people carry it like family right now because there's only one way for them to have learned that song.
That's a lot to take in.
Well, let me jump in here a minute. I like this young man's story here. And he said a whole mouthful that connects to us personally, whatever, because me and Dom are connected to some Wilson Moran's family members. Terry Ward, she's also a member of that particular family. But man, my story was also like yours a minute. What got me started when you said something about maybe students couldn't present themselves in the right way in front of their class or whatever. That is what happened to me when I was in the fifth grade. My fifth grade teacher had asked the students to go to the map and say where your ancestors came from. And everybody went up to that map and they was pointing, and I couldn't point at that time. So that's what really started my journey into family history and genealogy. So now today, if anybody asks me now, I can point exactly to the map where they came from and can tell you the family name and the family village, the same area that Wilson Moran family comes from.
Same people, Southern Sierra Leone, same Mende people.
Same people. You mentioned Virginia as well. So I know for a fact that they were bringing enslaved people from Virginia into Orangeburg, into the Carolinas. Because we are a mix of people from Virginia and people coming up from the Low Country, from Charleston. So our ancestors have a combination of that Virginia connection and that Low Country connection.
And Pennsylvania.
The planters were coming. The original planters were coming from Pennsylvania, and you
know what's crazy? We talking about Dutch, right? Let me just throw this in there before Brother Vance take it away, right? What Kimo is saying is very, very important, because there was a time where the transatlantic slave trade was outlawed by the United States. 1808, they said no more bringing Africans in for slavery, right? It continued illegally, just like drug smuggling. They continued to do it. But at the same time, it was significantly less amounts coming in. And so because the demand was so high, because the West was expanding, they started to create breed farms, breed plantations. They started to breed us for numbers. And a lot of that was happening in Virginia. And so Virginia used to have a tobacco-based economy. But with cotton, the same people who were selling tobacco got interested in cotton. They ran right on down to South Carolina, because South Carolina had a whole bunch of prime land for growing cotton. Orangeburg was actually like the #1 cotton growing place. And you can go to Orangeburg right now and pick cotton on the side of the road. No problem.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not in season right now, but when it does get back in season, I can testify to that.
Yeah, exactly. And so Orangeburg was like one of them places where a lot of people left, a lot of the families left there and went to Alabama and went to Mississippi and went all the way over into Texas. And then also Orangeburg is a place that as those people moved, we received people from Pennsylvania and from Virginia. Some of the families from Pennsylvania was the Jamison family, which originally came from Europe and established themselves in Berks County, Pennsylvania. Eventually, one of them moved to Orangeburg, married into one of the original families of Orangeburg, struck gold, ended up being a big slave owner. His son ended up starting the Civil War. And so then you have another family called the Livingstons. Really, they're Jewish people called Lowensteins. But they originally went to Pennsylvania, and guess where they went? To the Dutch area, to Lancaster County. They were always going to the places where the Dutch was at, because the Dutch church or the Dutch people were very radical in their religious traditions. They're very, very radical. And so the Lewistons, when they moved down to South Carolina, they went to a place called the Dutch Fork. So just imagine that, the Dutch people got settlements throughout the colonies that when they migrate over, they typically converge at. So you have a Dutch presence in Orangeburg because of that.
Oh yeah.
Vance, hey man, you see, this is us almost every day, man, connecting the dots, bro. So I'm just wondering what you got going through your mind. Like you didn't expect like connection, boom, 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 bam.
Well, I love it. That's for one, to be able for you guys to connect and flow so easily through history, time, and date and region. And that's 100% true what you pointed to, that the Dutch were very much radical, and they were very serious about faith. But at the same time, they knew that they had to keep a system of slavery the best way they could, but also giving somewhat half freedoms to blacks within the colony, such as Sojourner Truth. I bring up Sojourner Truth a lot when it comes to Afro-Dutch because she is the main character, mascot, spokesperson when it comes to the Negedots or Afro-Dutch that was spoken in New York and New Jersey.
Most of the time when people think of Sojourner Truth, they think of Ain't I a Woman? And when they recite the poetry, it's in a quote unquote Southern dialect, but she didn't speak in a quote unquote Southern dialect. She spoke Dutch. She spoke Dutch with a very, at that time, American sound. She spoke Dutch with a somewhat American accent, but it was very Dutch.
You know who Sojourner Truth reminds me of? She reminds me of Miss May, my grandmother, because they kind of built the same way. And I think in Sojourner Truth's story, she said that she could work as hard as any man.
Yes.
That was Miss May. That was my grandmother. She was small, but she was wiry, just like Sojourner Truth.
You know, Baba Kimo, Sojourner Truth has a connection to the what do you call it? She has a connection to Swansea and the Jeffcoats. She has a family. She has a connection to Orangeburg District because
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, remember her life and her works were financed by someone, right? And the person who her works were financed by was one of George Washington's cousins, and she also was the countess for a branch of radical Christians, for Methodists. What's her name again? Oh, I'm looking for it right now. They call her, what do they call this woman? I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, he went out. But anyway, we'll go ahead, and talk, young man. I'm loving your conversation, man.
Yeah. Vance, I would love for you to talk more about your ancestry, because me and you have done some dives into it, because it also connects to South Carolina, if you don't mind speaking about it.
Why, certainly. My ancestry is still in the works, as most of us, it's in the works. It's not as easy as some people. But from where I can trace to on my dad's side, it is mostly Virginia, Louisa County, or Kentucky. In fact, I'm on a hunch that they may have a lineage of the free blacks of Louisa County that may have ended up staying if they did not get deported or thrown to Ohio, or end up, like some, ended up going to the Dominican Republic, which is why I have this flag, which became the Samana Americanos, that sponsored from Frederick Douglass in the Colonization Society, to shove free blacks anywhere that wasn't in America, or to have free blacks in a country where slavery was very prominent and still a positive look amongst the grand scheme of white supremacy in America. You just couldn't really have them around. So I could have been in the Dominican Republic. So my mom went to the Dominican Republic in the Samana region, and she said that the way they have their church and the way that they talk is really antebellum, African American, and she's got me this flag that she got.
Yeah, even sing some of the traditional spirituals sung at that time, and they also cook, from my understanding, cornbread, which is a very dish. But didn't you also showed me that you had an ancestor that was from South Carolina?
Yes, I believe it is on my mother's side, from my grand uncle, Uncle Larry is what I call him, Larry Owens, and he's said to have had a ancestor that was either born or lived in South Carolina it was a particular county that I would have to look up, but it was a county that's, I think, a part of the Gullah Geechee corridor, or it is where many of them leaving either
I think
leaving.
it was Marion County.
Yes.
I think it was Marion County.
Marion County.
It wasn't known as Marion County at the time, but that's I think I've shared you some firsthand accounts of the Gullah Geechee language and also culturalisms being spoken and practiced there. So you're very much connected to the larger Gullah Geechee story, bro. There's no denying that.
Glad to be part of it.
Yeah. And Marion County, is that up by Georgetown somewhere? I think I'm not sure, but
up by Sumter, ain't it? Up by Sumter.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Hey man, you got a very interesting background history, man. My wife's family, her father's family is from Trinidad, so my son has some West Indian history in him as well. And he has Barbadian and Trinidadian history from his mom's side of the family. So you see how this diaspora thing is very large, man. And we always have various guests from around the diaspora.
Hey, Baba Kimo, you know what? I was talking about Sojourner Truth, but I was talking about Phyllis Wheatley. That's who I meant. I was not Sojourner Truth. Yeah, she was basically sponsored by a woman known as Lady Selena. She was the Countess of Huntington. They call her the Queen of Methodism in the church. She had sponsored a mission to America and built a mission house out there in Swansea, and the person who was her missionary, his name was Jacob Jeffcoat.
Yeah,
and Jacob Jeffcoat was also
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Jacob Jeffcoat was also an ancestor of like Eartha Kitt's,
yes,
other people as well. So
I'm very familiar with that part of the story. Yes, that's who that guy Mike Jeffcoat be talking about it all the time. But Swansea was a stronghold for Methodism. Yeah, I'm familiar with Phyllis Wheatley.
Yeah, and they were abolitionists. They weren't just Methodists. This was the abolitionist group, the abolitionist branch of Methodists. They also, like for instance, this woman, Lady Selena, her mission also has churches and stuff here in Sierra Leone. They were abolitionist Methodists. They were Methodists that was pushing abolitionism. So when you hear that Lady Selena set up a house right there in Orangeburg District, South Carolina, and that it was the ancestor of the Jeffcoats there who was sent from Europe to establish this, and you see the connection to Phyllis Wheatley, to all this John Newton and all these other people who are affiliated with abolitionism, all being supported by this same Lady Selena. Yeah, that's why they call her the Queen of Methodism. People don't know this, but I'm from York, Pennsylvania, and York is right next to Lancaster County. Now Lancaster is flooded with Dutch culture. They have a little amusement park there called Dutch Wonderland. So they still be riding around the Amish. They still be on their horse and buggies out there on the highway. So that whole learning about the connection between the white people or the Europeans who first left Europe and settled in Pennsylvania and Virginia, learning that they were also the pioneers of the internal immigration, the westward expansion. They shut down shop up north and went down south and went out west. That part of the story is not told as much as it needs to be told. And we're talking about language and culture here. You can imagine the language and culture exchange within that among us, the Africans who are enslaved.
Vance, I gotta kind of brag on you, bro. Because I can tell you a real humble person, but Vance also, man, he's done deep dives into the Portuguese Afro-diasporic influences as well. Can you touch on that a little bit, bro?
Yes, I can, of course. The Portuguese, yes. So this actually all started from a DNA test. I took the African ancestry DNA test, and it was funny. I was in the military at the time, and being around the military, you're surrounded by a plethora of people from Latin America that are Hispanic as well. And when I told them, hey, I'm getting a paternal DNA test, they were like, oh, for what? And I said, well, find out my paternal lineage. And they said, aren't you like Hispanic or something? Because I resemble Hispanic to them. I said, well, no, but my dad looks really Hispanic, but he's from Virginia. It doesn't make sense. That's what I said. But they said, hey, man, you're definitely something like that. And when the results finally came up from the African ancestry DNA results for the paternal ancestry, as I uploaded, I couldn't wait. I was so excited to find an African result, and I did not. And what made it even more confusing, it wasn't British, it wasn't Irish, it wasn't any of that. It was made in Portugal. I was really confused, and I wanted to dig in more. And I found out from many books, such as this book, which I reference a lot, from Euro de Wolf, The Pincer King and the King of Congo.
I told you about that. Yeah, man.
This book is amazing. It's one of the treasures that I have for Afro-Dutch and Afro-Portuguese, which I'll speak to. But I found out that the Portuguese were the first people who really dipped their toes and really went hard with the slave trade and putting mixed communities and the flow of people from across the diaspora way before any other European power. And Virginia, being the household of the 20 and odd Africans who came to Virginia that were very much Iberian in culture and possibly also ancestry, they brought the Portuguese language with them that was creolized. And I want to know more about this Portuguese Iberian culture. So I got more books from the Wolf, such as the Afro-Atlantic Catholics.
I got that one as well.
It's a treasure. And I learned about the names such as Alfonso, Isabella, which was Sojourner Truth's actual name before she changed it. It was Isabella, which shows I would say, in Afro-Iberian, if not Afro-Atlantic culture in many African Americans. And what he says in this book gave me a big clue, not just of the Afro-Portuguese that was spoken in New York and New Jersey, but also possibly in Virginia as well. He said that it resembled something of Papiamentu and or Suriname Saramakan. And that blew me away. That the way they found that out was very interesting, because there was a court case where in many times they needed translators. And many of those translators, who's the closest Portuguese people you got? Sephardic Jews. Because like I said, many Jews end up traveling with the Dutch because they came from the Netherlands, and they often brought slaves sometimes with them to New Netherlands. And many of enslaved people, which we don't know about, came from Brazil that went into New York. And so that blew my mind even more, that there's not only Afro-Brazilians that assimilate into the regular African Americans, but also that they were congregant members of synagogues as well, along with the Sephardim. And with that being said, I looked further and further into the Afro-Iberian culture of many African Americans, and I knew for a fact that culture isn't just a Southern thing amongst Black people in general. People always refer to the South as the king of culture in America, but the North has just as much culture, just as much as the South. And there's one word that they got from a rebellion, which I mentioned in one of my posts, that was in the Stoner Rebellion, that pointed to a huge amount of evidence of the linguistic factor of African Americans into the antebellum slave period. And it was in the Stoner Rebellion where one phrase was shouted, and it was liberdade,
liberty.
And they kept saying these Africans that was revolted, they had a weird Spanish dialect or a Spanish way of speaking. And how would these slaves know anything about the freedom in Florida? How would they know, especially in a time there was no phones, there was no anything like this? Well, the same thing that happened in New York and New Jersey that caused a lot of conspiracy and a lot of ended up problems for African descended people was the Spanish Negro problem, or the Negro that can understand a language that they can't. That was Spanish or Portuguese. And these African intercepted messages from Spanish Florida or Catholic areas in what we'll call America that they could flee to. And they took that opportunity, which shows that they didn't just know a couple words, they didn't know a broken variant, but they knew the standard way of speaking that they were taught from Europeans in the flavor creolized version that they created themselves, in the ingenuity of living a life as enslaved or free people in America.
Absolutely.
So I knew for a fact that just as much as Afro-Dutch is getting attention, I had to treat this with every outcome of approach for our people's history. For there's so much of our linguistic culture and other things like that that we neglect or forgotten. And the reason why I care about this a lot also paints to romanticization of media and also how we as a people get distracted. For example, we often dive into other people's culture at times to feel a sense of enjoyment or purpose.
That's right.
And sometimes it creates a pseudo identity. And you'll see that a lot of our people. We are this, we are that, we are everything but who we are. And I believe through loving yourself and acknowledging the great things of who we are as a people, and that whatever that they have over there, we have our own version and we should be proud of it.
Absolutely.
It creates empowerment and confidence in who we are that repairs that young boy from 5th grade that had to embarrass himself in front of his class, in front of his culture. You feel so much better about yourself that you don't want to be like them. You're who you are. And learning this, it not only repairs us, but our connection to other people. Like, for example, you can't have Louisiana Creole people without Cajun people, because their communities are so tight knit in their history. They're more better off than they were when it was the height of the French territory of Louisiana. They're even better off now because learning their history through their connection made them accept each other and have a better history. And there's a modern example of this going on today. I posted on my TikTok a snippet of the video on YouTube. Go check it out on my TikTok, Civ Kick, call me Raggy Man as well, where this black woman, I forgot her name at the moment, but she is a playwright and a sociologist. She had people of German descent and lineage in Missouri come together to talk about their experience in segregation, and through their culture of their experiences, they're more tighter than they were before, because our ancestors, what they went through, we are their greatest invention. We are their greatest dreams to create a better future for tomorrow. And unfortunately, whether you like it or not, we share this country with white people. We share this country with all kinds of people. And we can either create more separation that causes more problems and spite, or we end up facing the man in the mirror or our neighbors. And like many of us, well, me importantly, I'm a man who reads the book, and the book tells me to love thy neighbor and love thy neighbor as thyself. And like accountability and addressing problems, eventually you have to address that. And we should look for peace and prosperity and more separation and division. So that's where that Portuguese interest in that language comes from, and why it's very important. Because a lot of those who may look at my content may see it as, who cares? It's a white person language. Why do you care about that colonizer language? Why do you care about that white X, Y, and Z? And I see why that's said, rightfully so. But our ancestors were the geniuses that they were to take from nothing to something, or something that they can connect with who they are into a different way of expression. Like,
well, you know that here in Africa, most Africans speak about 3 languages or 4, most. So linguistics is a very African thing. And so, and not only that, but for Africans to engage in trade and knowledge exchange with people from other cultures, we ain't never been the racists. We ain't never been the ones to not learn from the Asian and exchange information with the Arab. We always been open. We've been the ones been open to universal knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And so I don't feel like we're the ones who have to kind of fight for inclusion. I feel like we're the ones who really just got to maintain what we know, and a part of it is exactly what we're doing here. You spoke about the Portuguese. I want to just chime in on that as well. I believe in studying it all. We should study European history. We should study Asian history. We should study their great philosophers and warriors. We should study world history. We really should. And one of the biggest problems is that we say we're scholars, but we don't study outside of ourselves.
That's true.
We should be well-grounded. I should be able to tell you general German history because of the role that Germany has played in exploiting and oppressing African people. I should be able to tell you about Germany. And so the Dutch, the Portuguese is very, very important because we know that prior to the 15th century, the Arabs and the Amazigh, or what they call the Berbers, along with West African people, had combined into a population known today as the Moors. And they had occupied and what we say the second civilization of Europe, taught them a lot of things. A lot of the language that we think is theirs is actually influenced by our languages being influenced in theirs. And so when you know the history, it's not as black and white, quote unquote, as some people would like for it to be. This is why scholarship is important. Doing your own studies is important. The Portuguese at that time of exploration are not the Portuguese that you see today. The Spanish at that time of exploration are not the Spaniards that you see today.
That's right.
We have to understand this, right? And then that there was an expulsion. There was a whole movement to drive a whole population out of Europe by force. And that's how a lot of fighting and a lot of slavery took place in Africa, because they drove people back into Africa who went on a conquest. And so, for instance, here in Sierra Leone, the first European to come here, documented, was a Portuguese man named Pedro de Sintra, right? A lot of the first ones came out here. You ever heard of Henry the Navigator?
Yes.
You heard of the Dums Diverses? The Papal Bull from Pope Nicholas?
Yeah.
These were like executive orders that were passed by the leaders of the Christian world that initiated the invasion and slavery of African people. It initiated what became the transatlantic slave trade, right? And so we don't be knowing the history properly, but the Portuguese and the Spanish were Catholics at that time. They were under the leadership of the Pope.
Yep.
Right? You got to understand this. And they were kicking out the Muslims and kicking out the Africans and the Arabs. They was kicking them out by force. Right? And so even as they're kicking them out, we're not doing the math like, yo, is these the same people that's showing up in West Africa? These the same people showing up in Ghana? Is these the same people showing up in Angola?
That's right.
Why are they all of a sudden on a navigation missionary trip? Why everywhere they going, they're converting people to their religion? What's going on here, right? And so when you look at the Portuguese and you look at Angola, for instance, there's more Portuguese people in Angola than there is in Portugal right now. And you look at the relationship between Angola and Brazil, and you understand that originally the Portuguese dominated the slave trade for about 100 years before the English and others even got involved. That those are original ancestors we talking about. Like we talk about the 1525, 1526 in South Carolina, the first 100. We talk about them. They was Angolans. They came up from Angola. They were speaking Congolese languages, but they were brought by the Portuguese and
And
sold to the Spanish.
Even in Brazil, you have a quote unquote Afro-Brazilian subculture known as the Palinques, and they very much culturally and historically connect to the Angola Congo region, and of course that connects back to us. Because even in runway advertisements of one, they described a Congo man, if I'm right, Congo Angola man, who had a stitched cross on his clothing that showed that Catholic Portuguese connection. And remember, I told you about this the other day that you had Papamento speakers. I may be mispronouncing, but Papamento speakers from the quote unquote ABC Islands that were enslaved and on the run in mainland North America. So also you got that ingrained Portuguese, you know, in the colonies, but in the mainland colonies, but you also had the Portuguese enslaved being shipped there from the Caribbean.
Yeah. And not only that, but you gotta know too that the European side of the Spanish and Portuguese was largely German. They were Visigoths. They were descendants of the Visigoths, which were like Vikings. So remember, the Vikings were like from Sweden somewhere or whatever like that, but they were into navigation already. These was the European navigators. They already was into docking and then toppling places and taking over. If you know about the Anglo-Saxons, they're Germans, but they ended up going to England or established in England, but they're actually Anglo-Saxons and Jutes. Those are German ethnic groups. You know what I mean? But they're the English people of today. So when you look back, the ethnicity of Europeans has also changed throughout the century. Their languages have changed as well. The same way we can see their influence on us, you also can document our influence on their modern languages as well. There's been an exchange.
Culture bleeds over time, depending on the proximity of the people.
That's right.
Because the Spanish that's spoken in Colorado, by the very few people who speak it, it's not spoken the same way as it is in what's known as Spain.
Absolutely. Even if you look at Spanish and you look at the Puerto Rican Spanish, it's like Creole. It's just like listening to Jamaican patois, but in Spanish version. Just like the French of the Haitians. It's not the same. The Europeans who were being born in the American colonies and raised there were taking on language from the indigenous people and from the enslaved people. And so their languages was being mixed up. And when they would go back to Europe, they would sound a little different, a little southern, a little foreign.
That's right.
Hey, fellas, this is very good. I want to give a shout out to a new connection of ours, Chief. She's tuned in. Her name is Bree Jones. So everybody say hello to Bree. But this has been very interesting, man. I'm loving this conversation, man. This is good. This young man, it seems to be very scholarly.
I told y'all this dude here is the real deal. Like, I think calling him up and comer is an insult because, bro, you dare. You right along with me and so many others, man, that's doing the work, bro.
Hey, just to flip it a little bit, y'all, because I was on his page and I noticed that you might have a love of martial arts. Am I right?
Yes, I have practiced in a couple of martial arts. I earned a black belt in CTF Taekwondo, traditional Taekwondo, and I did, of course, McMap as they teach you in the Marine Corps. And I was very interested in many of the Afro-diasporic martial arts. So I practiced tir meche, the Haitian fencing art, with a gentleman named Samuel Godwin. He has a organization named ONMA, ONMA, where he is trying to bring up these arts within communities in Philly and possibly spread the influence elsewhere, to have more African-based martial arts being taught to our people. But others would include Taktib, or what's the other one? Is Taktib and Al-Matrag. I bought books on modern Egyptian Taktib, which is an Egyptian stick fighting form that was used Yes, sir. That was used for various weapons, such as the Egyptian axe, and it was a awesome experience to be around gentlemen such as Osa. I believe that is his African name, but I'm just going to refer to him as Osa, or Chief, as we called him a lot. And also I did capoeira a couple times.
Nice.
And
Man, I am. You seem to be very well-rounded, man. And I always like to share some of my little personal history, especially when it comes to martial art, because I spend a lot of time hanging out with the Nation of Islam, with the Fruit of Islam, when I was a young man, and I had some mentors who taught me samurai aikijitsu way back in the day. I don't practice like I used to, but I remember it. And I've also messed around with a little, I may not pronounce it right, but the Brazilian style you just mentioned, I messed with that a little bit. And even Chief's sister here, she's a martial artist herself.
Yeah.
So we've been involved. We've been involved with martial arts for a while, and just to take it even back a little bit further, as far as Gullah studies go, my own grandfather taught us how to knock and kick.
So yeah, man.
So
Snatch up, slap box.
Oh yeah, 52 blocks and all that. 8th Avenue Rock. I'm familiar with all of that. But yeah, man. I like how you talk, young man. That's very good. Very good.
Yeah.
I don't know a martial art per se, but I know crazy.
I don't know karate, but I know crazy. Huh?
I know how to do that though.
Yeah.
No wrong with it.
Hey, that's something Papa Joe taught us boys when he was little, how to knock and kick. So
yeah, man.
I'm assuming that he probably learned that from other amongst his friends in the community, because it was known as a secret.
It had to be secret. It had to be secret. Hey, Baba, could you imagine the slave master seeing us out there knocking, kicking, preparing? That had to be hidden. It had to be hidden. We had to act like pussies. We had to act like we were scared to throw a blow. At the same time, we had to know also that we can break master neck if he get out of pocket. Yeah. We had to know both.
I've come across plenty of first-hand accounts showing that, look, when the slave driver or whoever stepped out of line, they got put back in line or put on their back, period.
And you know what's crazy too, Dom?
Yes, sir.
Man, one thing I realized, man, certain areas, we just rumblers, man. We just got a history of fighting. The woman can fight. Like, my mama was a rumbler. I don't know where she learned, but she could beat men. You know what I'm saying?
I know a few women that can do that.
She could beat a man down.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. You also mentioned your genealogy research and everything. So you did African ancestry, you said?
Yes, I did, along with 23andMe and Ancestry.com.
Well, that's our main thing, man. Me myself, I live on Ancestry, 23andMe, My Heritage. I'm on there just about every day.
Because I got on your profile last night and it said you was active early.
Oh yeah. I'm always active, man. I live and breathe it. I've made some amazing connections over the last few years. Well, all three of us. Well, now I see all four of us have. So yeah, this genealogy thing is a game changer. It helps to break the 1870 wall down. So I know it broke mine down, because without that DNA testing, and well, of course, without Chief, but I never would have known what I've known now about my lineage and ancestry without that DNA test.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's definitely a powerful thing. So Dr. Curry is saying he's in the house for one. Shout out to Dr. Curry, man.
What's up?
Dr. Curry, we got to bring you back over here, man. It's nothing but family here with us. You're also saying that self-defense is essential to survival.
That's right.
I watched a video where Tupac is being interviewed on a talk show when he was alive, and it was after, I believe, his case was shooting the police. I remember early on in his career, there was a white boy or something that was listening to Tupac's music in Texas, and he ended up killing the police officer, and he blamed, and the judge and them tried to blame it on the music that he was listening to. I don't know if y'all remember that, but Tupac went on a show, and they had police officers and people who was like very angry about his music. And they told him, they asked him, they said, man, so you ain't teaching people to kill police and be violent? He was like, no, I'm teaching people to defend themselves. I'm teaching self-defense. And so there's a big difference between teaching violence and teaching self-defense. And self-defense requires discipline, and not just knowledge of martial arts, but exceptional discipline, because you got to know when and how to utilize it. But go ahead, Baba.
Oh no, I was about to say when Sing Q Ali and the brother Abu Bakr was showing me martial art and showing me different things, they also used to teach me philosophy. They also used to teach me holistic things, how to take care of my body, certain juices and everything you had to take. They were well rounded. It wasn't just a martial art thing about, it was, because that's the part that I wanted to learn, because at that time, this before y'all time, this was in the late 70s and early 80s, and that's when I was a real martial art fiend, and I used to live and breathe martial art.
You tell me you was Jim Kelly?
Man, I saw the original things when they first came out. I used to go sit in the movies all night long, man. We all night. I mean, when I say all night long, I literally mean all night long, because they would run kung fu movies back to back to back, and I was a martial art fiend. And every now and then, I still like to look at a good martial art movie.
But that's New York, though. That's that New York.
That
Wu-Tang Clan. You know what I mean? That's that New York in you.
That is a real up top Northeast New York, Pennsylvania type of thing, man. It very much so. I see Raheem getting a laugh out of that.
Right, Raheem. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Kung Fu fighting.
Oh, hey, when that song came on, I might would jump into a stance. I told you, man, I was a real fiend, boy. I was a real fiend.
All right. So, Saturday morning Kung Fu Theater. You already know, bro.
Yeah.
What ethnic group did the guest trace back to in Africa? What ethnic groups do you connect to, or regions?
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you very much. Kenya Malinke. Thank you for the question. I also did a maternal DNA ancestry, and my maternal DNA ancestry went into Guinea-Bissau amongst the Fula people. So that was very hopeful, because if I didn't get an African result through my mom's side, I was probably going to cry. So that was very fortunate. And as for other population groups, due to me being in Virginia, there's definitely a good amount of Igbo and Yoruba, most definitely there. And
that's my people.
Yeah.
And Congo as well. And
but
because
you look Fula.
Oh, I do? Well, thank you.
Yeah, you look
first time.
Yeah, you have strong Fula features. Fulas have deep eye sockets, and they have high foreheads too as well. And they're also of your complexion as well. Fulas have your complexion in general. And the Fulas were in Portugal and Spain. They were part of the Moors. So you never know what that Portuguese is really hitting on.
Bro, the first time I got on your page, when me and you first started like corresponding back and forth, bro, I looked at him like, is he on Fulani? What's going on here? Like you do. So I'm glad Matson pointed that out. Yeah.
Thank you. And being from Virginia, I also come with a discovery that Dominique helped me go into. It was the Malagasy people that came into Virginia majority within America. Okay, wow. And I was always perplexed. Why do I have Austronesian or Asian DNA within my results. It doesn't really compute, doesn't make sense. Maybe it's just a margin of error, or it's trying to point Native American, but I have no proof of that. But going into Henry Louis Gates' episode where he goes into one of the Wayne brothers, Wayne brothers, and for him to have not a result from Africa, but the Malagasy really struck interest to me. And I also posted on my TikTok a surname list of those of African descent that descend from Malagasy people, and my last name Ragland popped up along with others from a woman's blog of her research.
Wow, look at that, man.
Yeah, man. I kind of remember seeing that Raglan name mixed in with the Malagasy people. Yeah, I kind of.
Let me see if I can remember her name correct. Wendy Wilson. I think that's half her name, because she's like, I would say in terms of African American, she is the top scholar when it comes to Malagasy ancestry. Like,
you know what? There might be a branch of Raglan people here in Orangeburg, because that name is you're striking the chord with me now. That's right. You're striking the chord. There might be a branch of Raglans here. Yeah,
I know some in York, Pennsylvania. I know a few, actually. That's crazy you would say that. This Kenya Malika Mensere, this is my wife. She's saying that her maternal grandmother has E1A, 1A, East Asian haplogroup. And we were doing some research on that to figure out how and where that particular haplogroup or that subclad came from. That subclad came from Indonesia. It actually had its mutation in Indonesia, but the people from Indonesia also spread out into Polynesia, into Melanesia. And some of them came over to the Americas and was in Peru and that Pacific coastal area in ancient times. But also, you got to remember too that Mexico used to rule that side. That side was governed from Mexico, and so the Spanish people used to bring people from those islands over into Mexico. They have a whole community of people who have this subclad that were brought into Mexico. They ended up in Texas, in Louisiana, and into the African American population.
Wow, that's such. I love research like this, and I can't wait to get more into my genealogy the best way I can. For it's something I believe we should all get into.
Walter Curry is saying Wu-Tang Clan introduced Chinese culture to our people through their music. Very, very important. Very, very important. Wu-Tang Clan had all of us, when I was a young boy, we all was doing it. We all was wanting to do some karate off of that. But even before Wu-Tang Clan, you had Bruce Lee. When I was growing up, Bruce Lee was the man. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Then you had people like Jean-Claude Van Damme, all these little martial artists that they were like our heroes back in the day. Yeah.
You see the names. You see the names that the Wu-Tang Clan took from the martial art movie. Method Man, Ghostface Killer. Those were characters in the Wu-Tang movies, and those were from the Shaw Brother movies. I was a big Shaw Brother fan. He made some of the dopest kung fu movies around, man. That's just
look, Gen Z, Vance, how we got introduced to East Asian culture was through mainly what? Anime, right? So I wasn't doing all the wah. I was doing the kamehamehas and all that stuff and throwing stuff.
Man.
All of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Man. Yeah, then doing the Naruto.
You was doing that Goku, huh?
Yeah, man. I still do it.
And they run through the halls.
Another important factor too, like he was saying about the Wu-Tang Clan introducing Chinese culture. They also pushed 5% Nation of Gods and Goddesses on Earth ideology as well. They interwove 5% ideology with Chinese culture in a way that just it hit the ghettos of America, the ghettos of the world. That's why they can tour to this day.
See, all of that was very popular in the late 70s, early 80s. The 5% Nation the kung fu movies. That was deep. That was big time New York culture, man. Everybody was down. Everybody that I hung out with was down with the Nation of God and Earth back in the day. My little brother, he's still down with the 5%ers. I could tell you a lot of stories about the gods and all that, man. But that's a time for another episode.
Yeah, another episode.
It can get deep, bro. It can get very deep.
Yeah, man, for sure. It's dope. It's dope. You know, I think we're going through a revival right now with our culture in general as African people, not only in the diaspora, but even on the continent. There's a challenge because people here, the more Western language they know, the more Western education they have, the better life they will live in terms of having access to jobs and upward mobility. The more they stay with their culture, the more they stay with their traditions, the least upward mobility they're actually going to have. And so new generations are moving away from the traditional culture rapidly. A lot of people here in Freetown, they're born here, raised here. You ask them, what's your ethnic group? And they say, well, I'm a Mandingo. You say, can you speak Mandingo? They say, no. You say, wow, how are you Mandingo? But you're from Africa. Why didn't you just go to the village and learn? And so even here, the language is being lost. The culture is being impacted by Western takeover almost. And the erasure is real. This is what's motivating us to do what we're doing with the Gullahs and our own heritage. But it's also very, very important to know that, for us to know that other African descendants are engaged in this work. We Gullah and all that, man. We proud of our heritage, man, but we are Pan-Africanists. We believe in us all working together across all the different differences. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what your ideology is. That's your business. As long as we can unite and organize for the benefit of our people, then we ready to go, you know? And I think that comes from just the whole experience that our people have had over the last few centuries with Europeans and even with ourselves. A lot of our ancestors would have never had the ability to meet and make us had it not been also for forceful kidnapping. A lot of the genetics that we have right now. I just shared a clip of the man. His name is what's the brother name? The actor Idris Elba. Y'all know who Idris Elba is, right?
Yeah, my mom loves him.
All right, cool. So Idris Elba, his father is from Sierra Leone. His mother is from Ghana, and he took a DNA test, and it came back that he got Congolese, he got Nigeria, he got all these different regions in his DNA. He like, what? How? He doesn't understand because nationally they say he's a Ghanaian and a Sierra Leonean, but ethnically his ancestry comes from Freetown. So there's a mixture. His ancestry is all over West and Central Africa, just like us in the diaspora, because of his ancestry, because of his connection to this particular place. And so it's important that we engage in this genetic genealogy. It's very, very important that we engage also in the linguistics. I think when you put the two together and you study the history of migrations, the resettlement of peoples, we can really get to a more clear picture of who we are by getting a better, clearer picture of who our ancestors are.
That's right. That's right. Well said. Well said.
Yeah, man. So, y'all got anything else y'all want to ask the brother? How can people?
Well, what does just before we let you go, young man? What are your future plans? What you studying next? What you got going on, and how can people reach you or get in contact? You got a podcast or something, or you have a show or something?
I do not yet have a podcast or anything like that, but I've been planning to go live more on my TikTok platform a lot more to answer questions that people may want to ask or know. I do plan on making a YouTube eventually, but I'm trying to figure out the whole editing situation with how to make
TikTok just now. But make sure you subscribe to his TikTok, Raggy Man, and what's the last part? What's that?
Tzivkick. It is TZIVKICK. But my future studies and plans right now, I'm in community college in Montgomery County in Bluebell, and I'm striving to get into eventually either African American studies or linguistics of any kind. And what I plan for my work, I'm mostly going into, at least the forefront of my work is Afro-Dutch, Afro-Portuguese, Afro-Ajami, along with something else I wanted to mention is Bilal al-Sudan Judeo-Arabi, which was the Jewish variant of Arabic spoken by Sahelian Jews when they were still in the Sahel region of Africa before they assimilated into the rest of the population, and also go into the connection of the Lanzaros, which were the thrown out ones that came to Cape Verde and the Atlantic coastal parts of West Africa. In fact, one man was recorded to have married into the Fulani, one of the Fulani hierarchy within Guinea-Bissau, and I want to expose that. And I really plan to soon get a board of researchers and people who are enthusiasts to really get these cultures on the same level as Gullah Geechee and Koyivini, which I'm taking a one-on-one class from the Professor Cliff St. Laurent that has posted videos on YouTube, and as well as he has a blog. So I'm actually taking a class today at 3 p.m. So I'm going to be.
Where are you located?
I live in Cheltenham, Pennsylvania. It's off of near Philly.
Okay.
But as for other plans, I'm trying to make a page or a Discord to start working with people who want to actively participate in the development of these languages and really get on track the culture attached to these languages in connection to other communities that we once were somewhat a part of. For example, in Pennsylvania and also in Texas and Missouri, the only white people that seem to have given African Americans a fair chance or a shot of an eye-to-eye connection were Germans. And in fact, in Missouri, along with Texas, they taught African Americans how to speak German and write and read in the language, which you would think is completely unheard of, especially from the Anglo-American English perspective, where how you were treated, if you could even read or write, would be very fatal. So understanding these historical contexts, we repair scars and a lot of misconceptions about communities.
That's right.
Where we can work together, not apart. For example, when I post about about Pennsylvania Dutch, Texas German, in the long history and tradition of the culture, the language being shared within the community, when we think about these communities, we think, oh, that's the white people area. We don't go there. We're not going to touch that area because there ain't no black people up there and we don't want no business over there. But in reality, we've been all over this country. We have no reason to be afraid of anywhere to go because we are citizens. We are Americans and we have a right to be anywhere. And we have a right to connect with communities that we once were not a part of and build even stronger bonds than did before. So
well said.
Appreciate you, brother. Hey, man, thank you for the time, man. And I would say, man, keep up the studies, brother. Keep doing the work, and just know that what you're doing is valuable. It's very valuable, and you know that you're not alone in it either. If you ever need any support, need any extra brains to help you figure out some problems, we're always open to that. If you're definitely down our neck of the woods, you're down Carolina, you got to come through Orangeburg. You got to, got to welcome you over at the Cosmic Green spot, our headquarters, the Gullah base, and we family now, man. Once you visit us at the Gullah house, ain't no turning back, bro. Can't leave now,
bro. Me and you chop it up almost every day, so we got some things that we got to do in the near future as well, bro. So like I said, I had to bring you on. I've loved this interview. I'm proud of you for what you're doing, and I'm gonna be even more proud of you for what you got planned in the future, bro, because I see big things ahead.
I'm really thankful and fortunate that you gentlemen gave me the time to speak on this platform. I greatly appreciate to be welcomed into the family, and I come with open arms, and I come with good manifestation for the future, because I knew from the minute when I heard about this possibility to come onto the Gullah House show, I knew that it's going to be a great opportunity.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, sir. We are very thankful for you being a part of the Gullah House show today, man. And like Chief and Dominique said, man, you're welcome anytime. We can probably bring you back on sometime in the future, man. Because I myself would like to hear more about this African Portuguese aspect. I mean, that's part of my connections. So I would love to hear some more about that in the future.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's coming.
I would like to look deeper into the.
Well, I think we are. I think we are Facebook friends already. So I'll be reaching out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
As you were saying,
I would also like to deepen the research into the Orangeburg district and their Dutch and Portuguese aspect. You have families like Pedro. You have Jewish families. You have people who were French when they arrived and changed their names to English names. You have a lot of that among the slaveholders of Orangeburg district, and it would be interesting to sit down with you and open up the books and see what kind of understanding you would get from them. So I'm looking forward, brother. Keep up the good work. We're gonna get you out of here for now, but we'll bring you back. That's our word. You'll be back soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, man. You have a good one.
Day, brother. Enjoy your day.
Enjoy your day.
I like that.
Yeah. Hey, man, that was a good suggestion from you, brother Dom. That brother there is definitely one of us. He's a young scholar. He's seeking the truth, and he seems to be very well-rounded. You know what I mean? As a young man, he knows what it is that he knows, and I'm always looking to learn from y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of older people who failed to learn from me when I was young.
That's
and
right.
I like to be the guy who's learning from the youth. You know.
That's right.
I want to do a shameless promotion as well too. We have an event coming up at the Cosmic Green Spot. I just want to read off the promo for those out there who are in the Orangeburg area or in South Carolina at all. You might just be breezing through. You in Charleston, you in Beaufort, you in Columbia, you run that general area, Aiken, Bamberg, Barnwell. Y'all know what it is, the 803. Y'all got to come through. So Orangeburg, it's time for community, culture, and connection under the stars. Join us for the Twilight Night Market at the Cosmic Green Spot Outdoor Community Grounds. This will take place September 26th and the 27th, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. 2238 Charleston Highway, Orangeburg, South Carolina. Entry is free. We're going to do some open mic there, have some delicious food, some local vendors, some networking and community going on. And whether you're coming to vibe, shop, eat, or share your voice on the mic, this is Orangeburg Social Night, Market Space. You don't want to miss it. This is going out to everybody out there. I know that we're having a political season right now in Orangeburg. People about to vote for the next mayor. There's a lot going on in Orangeburg. You know, you want to get to the people and have a few good words with some good people. Make it on out there. Let the people know who you are. Let us know your programs, your projects, what you got planned for us. Events like this are what you can look forward to seeing happening at the Cosmic Green Spot. And you'll always see us have connection there because that is our Gonona headquarters. And we will be actively involved in helping to develop that place into a community campground. Bye-bye.
You said it all, Chief. You have said it all. I'm sure, like Chief said, man, we want to see y'all come on out there, enjoy yourself, learn some culture, learn our history. Come see what come see what me and Dom do out there, because that's going to be our spot, our headquarters. It's going to be some great things happening out there.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, y'all. So anything else before we get up out of here, man? I just want to say, hey, once again, y'all enjoy Garvey Day.
Yes.
Garvey Day, y'all.
Yes.
Get your RBG on. You know
That's
what I'm saying? Go ahead to YouTube, find you a nice little video or something like that. Educate yourself about Marcus Messiah Garvey today, and just pay homage to the greatest. Y'all have a good one over there, Baba Kimo and Dom. Looking forward to the next show. We'll be back in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
All right, y'all. Y'all be easy, man.
All right. Salute.
Jag minns ju den tid du gav mig life villa, yo. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunnat ge förut. Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för det, baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger all min tid och jag vill ha det. Du får mig känna safety. Det kan nog leda, baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig.